Welcome back to Map the Maze. So we are well into December, and I am thinking about all of the people that I have worked with over the years who have arrangements in place for Christmas. It's sort of unavoidable. I'm thinking about the end of term rush. I'm thinking about people traveling. I'm thinking about people who are going to all be in the same place, who are trying to find a way to share those days with their children. And I'm hoping that they all go smoothly. So there's a whole range of things that I have seen people agree in mediation. It's not uncommon that people alternate Christmas, that it feels too hard to be together, that maybe at some future date that's possible, but that at the point when I'm working with people, it still feels too raw, too difficult to be together there for opening presents and hot chocolate or Christmas lunch, whatever the tradition is. And so often people will alternate. I have people who split the day, who split Christmas Eve and Boxing Day, and then Christmas Day, they maybe split the day. So somebody will have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day lunch, which usually includes present opening, and the other person will have after Christmas lunch. So they'll have dinner on Christmas Day and then Boxing Day. I've got other people who are actually maybe doing some Christmas events before Christmas Day with the children. So taking them out to something, doing present shopping with them, but then trying to do present opening together, or maybe even doing Christmas Day lunch with friends somewhere at a neutral location where no one's going to be feeling that it's their turf and not the other person's turf. There's about as many ways to do Christmas as there are families, probably. I think one of the most Christmassy families that I worked with had a range of children who were all under 10, and the youngest was only 4. And they decided to record their agreement that they would continue to do Christmas Day together as a family until the youngest child did not believe in Santa Claus. So you can imagine there was some reality testing around that, because obviously that's a pretty subjective, easy to manipulate bar, but they both strongly believed that their children had really believed in Santa Claus until they were 6 or 7, and they were willing to commit to having the Christmas with all of their children until that youngest one decided Santa Claus wasn't real, or he was maybe told by an older sibling. So that was quite a heartfelt Christmas. After that, they were going to alternate. So people find ways to try and adapt to Christmas for their children's benefit and for what is practicable, because there is no point in saying, let's be super child focused, let's do this day together, let's be there as a family, if in fact it's going to be stressful for both of you, and that tension is going to impact the children's memories of Christmas. I would say Christmas is just one example. It's the most pressing at the moment, but it's any day that is a special ritual, because if that's a ritual the child will have going forward in their life, you don't want for them to think, oh, every Easter, every Chinese New Year, every Thanksgiving, every whatever the holiday is was ruined because of this tension, because of this discord, this conflict over who I would be with as a child. If you can do anything this Christmas, give your children the gift of being able to enjoy it. With that being said, I wanted to share some words that I thought might be helpful from a book I really love. So this is Robert Emery, Two Homes, One Childhood. And I think his works are really helpful to think about things from a child perspective and to be child focused and to think about arrangements that are practical. So he says in his book on holidays, you may not want to even think about this, but you need to. Sooner or later, it will be Christmas Eve or your son's birthday. You don't want to be wondering or arguing about what you're going to do, and you don't want the kids not knowing either. A starting point is to list all potentially important holidays. Big religious holidays like Christmas or Passover are obvious. So are Thanksgiving and spring break. It's a little bit American. But Mother's Day, Father's Day, and everyone's birthday may be important too. Halloween, is a really big deal for most preschoolers and school-age children. And your extended family may have traditions like gathering over Memorial Day, not sure when that is, or Labor Day also. List everything you can possibly think of. And so definitely that is good advice, that when I'm working with parents, we typically look at the school holidays, but we'll also talk about, well, what are special days for your family? And for some people, Halloween is unbelievably important because they feel it's a real memory from their childhood and they want their children to have a memory of Halloween with them. For some people, it's around religious festivals. So it could be around Eid, it could be around Diwali, it could be around anything that is a special ritual that is part of your child's heritage and culture that you want to share with them, that you know they will have going forward as a memory of their childhood. Because as we keep trying to say to parents, children do not measure parents in time and they don't measure parents with Excel spreadsheets. That's an adult thing. Your child will have memories of spending special times with you. And definitely around holidays, special days, there is a real pressure on parents to feel that they're part of that memory for their child. So what else does he say? Once you've figured out what's important, you need to consider how to allocate holidays. You essentially have 5 options. You can alternate holidays. You get Thanksgiving one year, your ex gets it the next. So we would say, generally we'd say, for example, if you were getting the holiday in 2024, we would say you would do 2024 and every even numbered year thereafter, and the other person would do 2025 and each odd numbered year thereafter. You can divide holidays. So your ex is Christian, he gets Christmas, you're Jewish, you get Passover. That is one way to do it. And I definitely have seen people who will say, look, this holiday is more culturally important to you. So often, particularly when one of the parties is Chinese. So if one of the parents is Chinese, those children will want to be with the Chinese parent for Chinese New Year because they need to maximize their lycée receipt. So from a child perspective, maximizing lycees is definitely important, and all of the food. So mid-autumn is also really important. All of those holidays will have a special meaning. And if the other parent is, say, Western, is not Chinese, then they can still enjoy Chinese New Year, but it doesn't have the same cultural significance. So enabling the children to have that access to their heritage, their culture, really important. You can share holidays. So you get your kids from the beginning of school break until noon on Christmas Day, and your ex gets them from noon on Christmas until New Year's Day. So that is another arrangement. Sometimes people, particularly if you're Japanese, New Year's Day is really important as a holiday. It's significant. So having that day with your child is maybe more important than having Christmas with them. So trying to figure out maybe a way that parents can each do some of the special holiday and can get days that are relevant and important to them to be with their children. You can celebrate holidays together. So this one with caution. You both attend your son's birthday party and go out for family dinner together afterwards. So definitely I have, particularly for children's birthdays, I think there are lots of families who say, yes, we are going to be able to do this. We are going to work really hard to be able to have a family meal together because we believe that's what our child would like best. So whether that's all the siblings or the child is taken out because it's a special day, but it's a special meal. Attending birthday parties is also something that parents need to think about because when you separate, typically it's just mum and dad that we need to talk about. But over time, research would suggest, most people don't feel this way when they see me in mediation, but over time, research suggests that most people will repartner. So it's helpful to have that conversation up front. Can new partners attend? If that's something that is too difficult, then it's really thinking about when we are both comfortable, we can attend. Because the challenge is, at the end of the day, this is a special day for you because it's your child's birthday. This is their birthday. And when you're a child, maybe it's easy to forget when you're an adult, but birthdays take on a really outsized significance because it's your special day. No one hopefully no one else is sharing your birthday, but it's your day. And so to have adults fighting over it because of what they want, let your child have whatever birthday it is that they want to have, because as you probably will know by the time you're an adult, they'll lose their significance. So letting children have those special memories of their birthdays when they got to do what they wanted and they got to be happy and not conscious of the tension between their parents, that is a gift to your kids. Okay, you mix and match. So you divide Christmas week, but you alternate who gets the first half, including Christmas Eve, from year to year. You always celebrate birthdays together and you pick 2 weeks for separate summer vacation. So that's children with only 4 months of summer, which is sad. So definitely dividing is another way. So sometimes people will do that. Maybe Christmas Eve is culturally more important. And so maybe there's midnight mass, maybe there's opening of presents, maybe there's singing of songs and lighting of candles, who knows? But sometimes people will do that. They'll say, I'll do Christmas Eve because that's the special time for me. You can do Christmas Day, and then we'll figure out how do we do present opening. Or maybe we agree there's going to be presents at both homes. Once you have a plan in place, he has a few more tips on how to manage holidays. Your children deserve their celebrations. Even if you feel cheated out of yours, encourage them to have a blast with the other parent. This is so true. And I think it's really hard for parents because often what they are overwhelmed with is their sense of loss, their sense of grief that they won't have the special day with their child. Unfortunately, that is the reality. It is one of the consequences of separating, that you will not have every day with your child. You won't have every special day with your child, but letting them have those days, even if it's with the other parent, is really important so that they can feel free and they can feel happy, because at the end of the day, they're just children. They didn't have a vote in what was happening. They just are dealing with the consequences. Get into the spirit of the season. Make a New Year's resolution to let go of anger and treasure all that you have. I think that's really helpful, although very hard to do. Love means far more than money. Your time, attention, and emotional presence are more important than lavish gifts. And I think that is really true. Although I have now seen one child's PowerPoint Christmas list. But putting that to one side, I think that is really true, that I'm often working with parents where they are financially constrained, and yet there is a real desire to go big with presents, to go big at Christmas time. At the end of the day, I don't think that's what your kids will remember. Most of these presents will be forgotten in a couple of years. And what they will remember is that they had special times with you, that they got to enjoy themselves. So I would say focusing on what you do with them is more important than how much money you spend on what you give them. Holidays are not a competition with your ex or for your children. This is so true and difficult to understand, I think, when parents are separating, particularly if it's conflictual, that it's not a competition. None of this is a competition. Your children are not weighing up the presents. They're not weighing up where you go. They're not weighing up anything. They are just trying to exist in a difficult transition for them, where they're living with consequences of decisions they didn't make. And what you can do to best help them is love them and support them and let them be free to have fun with the other parent, to enjoy time with the other parent, just as they enjoy time with you. Coordinate. Oh, really good. Coordinate. Brief email can ensure that you don't duplicate presents. So that can be controversial. Or plan back-to-back feasts for stuffed and confused children, not to mention tired. Because I don't know how you feel after eating a large meal, but I generally would like a nap, and I'm an adult. So I can only try and remember what it was like when I was little if I felt really overfed. But naps, building in naps, I'm just going to say naps are good for everyone. Work things out in advance with your own extended family, whether that means saying no, spending the holidays differently than usual, or asking for help. So yeah, if you have access to your extended family, if that is an extended family of choice, so that's friends and parents of your children's friends, then use them as a resource. People are generally, I would say, from what I hear from my clients and just from knowing people are more than happy to have another couple of people at the table or include you in something or help out. So reach out. do not have to do this alone. Establish traditions. So even new ones that may be off time or different from the past, year in, year out traditions will be remembered for a lifetime. That's a really beautiful message. So one family I worked with had a very big tradition around the Christmas tree, and the year that they separated, their little boy was 5, which is a really difficult age. And he was so intent on getting them to reunite. He really wanted them to be together. He wanted everyone to be a family again, more than anything. Obviously, they couldn't give him that as a Christmas present, but they did keep the tree celebration together. So the year he was going to be, that first year he was going to be staying at Mum's house for Christmas Day. So Dad came over, they decorated the tree together. I think there were some difficult moments for the parents, but that little boy has intact his memory of making the Christmas tree happen. If it is possible, so I'm going to say that really carefully, there is no point in trying to force somebody to do a tree celebration together or do present opening on Christmas Day morning if it is going to be tension filled. Just don't do it to your kids. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to your ex, and don't do it to your kids. If you can both be amicable, if you can both focus on the children, if you can both keep it light, great, do it. But if you cannot, spare everybody the pain and those really awful memories of tension at what should be a happy and special day, and just do something different, do something separate. Okay, so consider celebrating together with your ex, particularly if your separation is recent. If, again, with caution, if possible. What he says about holidays, I think it's really helpful to bear in mind. So, top tips. This is their celebration. Generally, for most adults, we enjoy things, but it's not magical for us in the way that it can be magical for children. So, what is it they would most like? What is it you can actually do? There is, again, no point in reaching for the moon if what you can really do is step over this bubble. Yeah. So do what is practicable, do what will be conflict and tension free, but also recognize that your children have many celebrations ahead, and that what is most important is that they get to enjoy them and enjoy them with you and have memories for when they grow up. So just some things to think about for Christmas as we hit it. If you're working through mediation, then definitely talk to your mediator. They will be more than happy to talk to you about how to put holiday arrangements in place, particularly for special days that are child focused and that give you a roadmap for how to manage this. And if you are going to be alone for Christmas or for some of that Christmas day, make a plan. Do not sit home miserable. Even if it is going to a friend's house, taking yourself out for a nice meal, whatever it is, doing a staycation, don't sit home and be miserable because your children are not there. Because one thing that I've seen time and again is children say, what are you going to be doing, mummy or daddy? What will you do when I'm at the other parent's house? And what you don't want them to be doing is sitting there thinking, oh, I'm happy and I'm having a nice time, but my other parent is sitting somewhere eating cold toast. Don't do it. Yeah, do something for yourself. Go and have lunch at a friend's house. Do whatever it is that you need to do, but make sure that you are not creating a martyr for your kids' memory of that Christmas. So look after your children and look after yourself. Hard to do, easy to say, hard to do, but have a think about it. If you haven't got plans in place for Christmas, you need to do that sooner rather than later so that everybody can actually start making plans, adjusting mentally to what's going to happen. We're not that far away from the end of term, so have a think and get those arrangements in place. And I'll see you next week. Take care.